All right, super excited. We got Christie Altendorf here, Director of Marketing and Senior Event Planner for D'Amico Catering. 10 years with Bon Appetit, past president of ILEA 2016 to
ILEA
2017.
chapter. Yeah.
Nice. ILEA Live in 2019.
Yeah, co-chair with Megan Gustafson.
Which is
Nice.
the international, was the international conference for ILEA.
Yes.
So
Awesome. And then you were part of the Minnesota Events Coalition in 2020 during COVID.
she helped found it.
Co-founded
Shout
it,
out to Mari.
which is awesome. You helped everyone through those times, which was super cool.
Let's not do that again, huh?
And then we also have Lauren. Did your last name change? You just got married.
The world
Sticky
wants to know. We haven't
Sticky
heard
question.
yet.
The government still thinks it's Lauren Bohm on most documents. So
Okay.
Government, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Lauren Bohm. It's awesome to have you both here. And then you're the event manager right now at the Machine Shop. You worked at Girl Friday, Do Good Events.
Yes.
And you said we met when you worked at Girl Friday.
You
And
were
you're
wearing a
also a co-owner of a dance studio,
I am. Yes.
Bloom Dance.
Yep.
Where's that located?
Osseo, Minnesota. So just
Okay,
25
cool.
minutes
Yeah.
northwest.
Yes, my
beautiful
kids go to
this time
school
of
Not
year.
far
Yeah.
from the Annabelle House.
So if your daughters need a place to go to a dance
Yeah,
studio.
yeah, actually, yeah. My kids go
Come
to
on
school
down.
right out over there. Yeah, that's awesome. I guess like my first question is like, how did you both end up in events?
Or should we start with how do you guys know each other?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. Hold on.
question.
Let me get that. Let me finish
let's-
that. Let me finish
yeah.
that. Sisters.
Sisters,
I
yes.
wanted them to I wanted it to be
I
a big
know.
reveal.
You
I
could cut
know.
that part out and then
Yeah.
circle back.
Let you. I'll let you
Chrissy,
guys
let's
do it.
hear your
Lauren
first
and I
impressions.
first met on October 7th, Thursday, October 7th, 1993, when Lauren was born. And I was 8 years old visiting my mom and this new baby in the hospital. I was so excited. And there's a sister between Lauren and I. Her name is Kelsey. Kelsey was less excited.
Middle child.
Yeah, exactly.
As middle child, I can verify.
We love you, Kels. We love you so much. But at 8 years old, I was ready for this baby.
Yeah.
I was a little mommy to Lauren.
Baby doll.
I changed her diapers. I might have dropped her on her head once or twice.
It's Kelsey's fault.
She's fine. It worked out. Here we are. Yeah, but we grew up together, and I'm so fortunate to say that we are the best of friends, along with being sisters. The three of us talk every day. Lauren and I sometimes much more than that if there's, industry tea or, things like
That's
Star
we're working
Awards.
on.
Yeah, to be planning. So no complaints.
I also forgot to mention that you guys just did the Minnesota Star Awards back in March, 2024, and it was
24.
awesome.
Co-directors of the 20th annual.
Yeah,
So it was a big
co-directors.
one.
Yep.
Yeah. Small little event, but
It was a big one.
No pressure
we're
attached
pretty
to that
proud
one.
of it.
No, not
Yeah.
So 1993, y'all meet, and then and
The
then
rest is history.
yeah, and the rest is
And
history.
here we sit today. Yes.
So like how for real though, how did you guys get into events? Like I think it's cool that siblings got into events in kind of different capacities though too. Like following footsteps or just like
I think
stumbled
we
into
were
it.
born.
Like sometimes I think the industry sometimes chooses us. Like we don't always
100%.
choose it.
It's like how
Yeah.
everyone's like significant other gets pulled in, like voluntold to help with
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Shout out to my husband, Rob, for that. Right. It's on my payroll, actually, for like 4 years. I think to your point, Esteban, like it chose us through our family. We grew up in a family where, dad played softball. And so everybody would come over to the Bohm home after softball games. And the fridge was always stocked with Rolling Rock and, this pains me to say it, but Franzia, White Zinfandel.
Ooh la la.
And
Box.
The
by
Bohm was
Foxworth.
classy.
Bohm home in the 90s was really rocking. And so really we just were brought up in this environment through our parents, through our grandparents, that this is like being with your people is the best place you can be. And I think that chose us, and here we are today. It's a little bit cellular. It's in our DNA. And so I don't know that we could have done a lot of other things without gravitating back towards hospitality.
What was your first thing in events, I guess?
Well, if we're talking about childhood, Christy planned our mother's 40th birthday, which was Hawaiian themed. And
Nice.
I have
That's a
a
luau.
very clear memory of Christy on her hands and knees coloring poster board of like a cutout gentleman wearing like a Hawaiian shirt and shorts, and then a woman wearing a classic luau outfit.
Hula
that
dancer.
She forced every guest to take a photo with their head cut out in the hole that was like posted up underneath our deck.
Yep.
And so
That
I
happened.
think,
How old were you when that happened, though?
Oh gosh, 12,
I had to
Oh,
be
wow.
4.
13.
Yeah.
So you just had a natural knack
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, or birthday parties where she would, for our sister, where she would assign all of the guests to wear a different color representing either a different fruit, I think it was one year.
Yeah, I did do that.
And it must have been Mom's birthday again when there was a cake. I specifically remember that you used, like, is it Necco wafers
Yes.
to make the scales of a fish?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which obviously that made an impression on me and continues to make an impression on
Wait,
them.
explain the
super
fish
into it.
thing. What was up with that?
On a cake. It
Oh,
was a
okay.
cake.
Yeah.
Scales
Yeah,
on
a
it.
Yeah.
fish. And so those were
Made
the
out of
scales.
candies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Christy really started at a very young age.
DNA, man. Hard to beat. No, and I went to school for hospitality.
Okay.
Graduated with a couple degrees surrounding that, and then started working for Bon Appetit at the Minnesota History Center. And much like today, we were in need of service staff. And I hired Lauren and our other sister, Kelsey. And for many years, we had a great run at the Minnesota History Center with the three of us. Just like, I was there to lead the events and do all of the client-facing stuff, and they were there to deliver service and hospitality to folks. And
That's cool.
Lauren can carry 10 like a boss still to this day.
Still feel very proud about that. Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
You know,
'Cause
it's hard to get out of it.
we worked together, obviously, at the Minnesota History Center a little bit. D'Amico,
Yeah.
they're not still
No.
they're not exclusive.
That's how I came to D'Amico, was through the
That's what I was
History
wondering.
Center RFP, choosing D'Amico and Bon Appetit exiting through
You were
there.
part of the decision-making process, like getting D'Amico in there, or
No,
just
definitely
like, okay.
not. In fact, the opposite.
She was like,
Yeah.
no, I
Okay.
lost my job.
You just like came with
Shit,
the
I'm
job.
out
Yeah.
of
That's
job.
how
You
she
came
got
with the
to
space.
D'Amico.
Knowing that Bon Appetit was leaving the History Center, I was sharing this with Lauren actually the other day. It just came up. But when we found out that Bon Appetit would no longer be at the museum and a different provider, D'Amico in this case, was moving in, I had been involved with ILEA for several years at that point, and I felt it really important that a lot of those colleagues hear it from me that the transition was happening, instead of, through word of mouth or gossip or the Business Journal or whatever it may be. And so I sent an email in November of 2015 and sent it to maybe 25 people saying, hey guys, I want you to hear this from me first. Bon Appetit is leaving, and I may stay with the company, I may not, but I'm open to anything that you may see or hear if there are job opportunities in the market. Thanks so much for all of your support over the years. Keep me in mind, XOXO, Christy. And the most validating thing and such a huge lesson to me of how important and tight our community is, that is when that happened, because within 10 minutes, I had 8 email responses back. I had 2 phone calls. I had 5 texts with people either saying, I'm so sorry to hear this. I hope you're okay. Can we go grab a drink? Or, hey, so-and-so's hiring. Or like, we would love for you to come work with us. And that was the moment where I was like, wow, like this is so much bigger than myself. And what you put into it is so tiny compared to what you get out of it if you're truly in it for the right reasons. And so that happened. And with that, ultimately got a job interview for a mysterious director of catering for a museum job, which happened to be for D'Amico. And the rest is history. I'm still there today.
It's awesome. You're a lifer now, I feel like, at this point.
I don't know.
You're a big part of the operation, I feel
Oh,
like.
thank you. Yeah, we've
life
got a lot
sentence.
of tenure.
You've been setting still.
We've got a lot of tenure at D'Amico. We've had a few event planners just celebrate 25 years with the company. So 8 years in, and I'm still a little bit of a D'Amico
Still kind
baby.
of the new girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think we only were working there together for maybe like 2 years.
I think so.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what LinkedIn told me.
Got it. God bless LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's super cool.
I feel like I remember hearing about that transition, but I also can't remember if I've just like heard the story from Sarah Johnson so many like before and like incorporated into my memory in some ways.
Maybe. Yeah.
So after you went on to D'Amico and you started doing stuff there. What was your like next step after that?
After working for Bon Appetit.
Yeah.
So after that,
And also, how old were you when you were doing
I got a job with Bon Appetit when I was a freshman in college. So I would have been,
Old enough to serve alcohol legally.
Yes. Yeah. The first glass of champagne I ever had to pour was my first night, and I over poured the mother of the bride's glass and was absolutely mortified as the bubbles of champagne.
Oh, champagne is hard.
Poured down the side and was so green. I had no idea what I was doing. No one warned me, like, little bit, wait, little bit more, but being like, I need to take care of the mother of the bride. So that was my first night.
She high elbowed it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least it wasn't red wine.
At least,
Amen.
Done that too. But
We all
learn.
I think we've all done that.
We learned the hard way. It's a different podcast.
Exactly.
Oh no, we can talk about that.
Yeah, that's this one. Yeah.
So I worked at Bon Appetit at both the History Center and the Carlson Towers in Minnetonka under Don DeCoute throughout college. And then after college, I kind of was, as all new grads are, in that space of like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm not sure what I want to do. And Christy actually reached out and was like, hey, there's this really cool decor designer in town called Girl Friday. You should see if you can help her. And I was like, yeah, cool. And she connected us via text one day, and it never really worked out. But then when Star Awards was at Machine Shop in 2017, they needed volunteers. And so I signed up to volunteer for I think 2 or 3 days. And when I showed up that day, Girl Friday needed volunteers. And so actually the Star Awards really helped control my life in a lot of different ways. I got to help Carly install, I think it was umbrellas along the grate. Yes. Yeah. That first day, and was so excited to be working with her. And it was just a volunteer basis, had just met her. And then day 2 comes along, and I show up to volunteer, and Gretchen Culver is like, oh, Lauren, I know you. Can you help me with something? And I'm like, oh, I really wanted to work with Girl Friday, but sure. So then I ended up coloring like the mausoleum with Sharpie on the ground for a few days. But all in all, I got to meet Carly and then make that connection. And then I ended up working for Carly for, I think, 3 or 4 years after that. Oh, wow. Which, I got to see. I was actually telling somebody yesterday that I've seen so many loading docks in this city.
Yeah, I bet you know all of them very intimately.
Exactly. Where do you need to land a box truck? Yeah. Well, the belly of the beast of US Bank Stadium. There's a certain gate. So,
we're working on some minute details for the venue that we're working on right now. That just, I was coming in, got an email that they're doing like some really specific renderings and modeling of what it would take to turn a car around in this one certain area to make sure that you could do it, and how big the car could be, and like how, if you pulled a box truck in, like how hard it would be to reverse it or do a 3-point turn. And I was like, that's somebody else's job. Like, great. I'm so glad someone else knows how to do that, because that's so hard. But it's crazy when you think about like the accessibility when you're doing stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
When you said Don DeCoute,
Don DeCoute. Yep.
The officiant?
Yes.
Okay.
She used to be at Carlson Towers for quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don is who actually hired me into the event industry to begin with.
Really?
So I was in college, and through like a friend of a friend had heard that they were looking for event supervisors at the Carlson Towers. Interviewed with Don, did not get the job, lost it to who knows who. She offered me a serving job for the summer. I think it was the end of my junior year of college. And I was like, well, that's a bummer, but like, sure, no problem. Yeah. And this woman never actually took the job. And so I am proudly Don DeCoute's second choice event supervisor to this day. Started working, just executing events. I'd show up at 3:00, read the paperwork, make all the magic happen, and then go home. And then when I graduated, that's when Bon Appetit, the company who was at the Carlson Towers, had an opening at the History Center, and wound up taking that position as catering manager over there. So Don's responsible for both of us being here today.
Yeah. I love Dawn. She's like just a ray of sunshine all the time. Like
all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how she has the energy for that. Some days I'm just like, wow, you're on. I love it. Yeah. She's so great.
Yeah.
Your husband too, right?
Ralph.
Yes.
Ralph, yeah.
I mean, can you think of anyone who'd be better to be an officiant? Somebody who's that enthusiastic about just like everyday shit. Like, it's I feel like we talked about this, and I think we might have even speculated in one of the podcasts, because you went to Stout, and we were talking about how like there were so few real programs for event stuff, and I think we may have talked about on the air with Ashley Skye that you were one of the only people that I knew who had like a real degree in something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, Stout was great. It was the right place for me to be at the right time. And I showed up there and like I knew I wanted to do something in this realm, but I didn't even really realize that they had such a deeply rooted hospitality program there. And my roommate, who went through like 6 majors her freshman year, was in hospitality for like all of 2 months maybe. And she brought these books home and was talking about it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is where, okay, I'm supposed to do that. So declared my major with that and then wound up getting my degree in hospitality and then nonprofit service management, which was a degree that they offered at Stout as well. So it's fascinating to think that there's a degree for it when so many of us, the majority of us,
just fall into it.
Just land here. Yeah. And I think that's the beautiful thing about hospitality is that, yes, degrees are great, but more so like, are you the person that has that in them who wants to show up for other people? Because if that's the answer, the degree is maybe a cherry on top, but you have to have that innate desire to make people's days in order to really want to be here and in order to stay here.
I've had this conversation with a few people, like young, where I'm like, well, this is one of the few like careers where you can work your way up without having a degree. Yeah, like absolutely. It's still like an option. So what was your initial major? Do you know, or did you not have one?
I don't think I had one. I think I was undeclared or was like business or something very, very general, like just trying to really figure out on where we wanted to be with that. And hospitality 6 months in was like, oh, here we go.
Go ahead.
Where did you go to school?
I went to the University of Minnesota.
Okay.
And I actually have a bachelor's of fine arts in dance, which ultimately, with my events career, it helped me help curate experiences for people and work with production elements, and then also manage not a classroom of dancers per se, but of often drunk people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like children, basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just like toddlers.
Yeah.
So, drunk people are essentially toddlers.
Surprisingly applicable.
And also like choreography being applicable to sort of like the flow of things, I can imagine.
Timings. You're basically stage managing.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's all relatable. No, I was going to ask you for school, like for the event industry, like how much do you think you use from school? How much did you learn on the job versus how much did you learn at school that you took with you that you still use today?
And I think anybody with a college degree will say that even a year working as a professional is heads and tails more education than what you actually get in 4 years at university. There are things within hospitality that I don't deal with on a daily basis, like RevPAR at hotels, or I took a class about housekeeping, I think was 2 credits. I don't remember a lot of that. And for me, thankfully, that is not a part of my daily life. That's not a specific interest that I have. But I think in general, thinking about the mechanics behind hospitality, the business aspects behind it, the financials, those were all really important things to set me up for success when it comes to leadership positions within hospitality that were really helpful. And college or university in general, whether it's the right fit or the wrong fit, it is 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, depending on who you are, of coming into your adulthood and your independence. And I think those are lessons that I couldn't have gotten without doing that were both personally valuable and professionally valuable.
I think you learn a lot of like soft skills in college that you can't really necessarily like quantify in that way. That because I'm from like small town, right? We were just talking about this a little beforehand, and I kind of joked that I had to go to college to learn how to talk to rich people, because like I didn't grow up with people who had a lot of money or from generational wealth and things like that. And then meeting some of those people in college, and I was like, we live very different lives. Okay. And like, sort of understanding like that world a little bit better. I never would have been exposed to it without going to school. So
I learned a lot of that from D'Amico, just like all the Minnetonka homes that you're at, but also when I worked at Minnetonka Country Club, one of my first ever serving jobs. It's all like the richest people, right? Obviously, like off of Lake Calhoun or whatever they call it, Dave Muskoska. Sorry guys. Still learning it.
That's all right.
But the lingo, I guess, talking to a different demographic. It's kind of interesting, but
or learning how to get talked to.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, actually.
A little bit of both.
A little of that.
I would say I was a lot like you, because you went to school for like an art. I did the same. I went to school for guitar performance, which is like doesn't necessarily translate, but there are elements that really do. Like, which is funny too, because I'll do some work once in a while with Avex, just as like a setup and tear down, do it or whatever, just for fun. But it kind of it set me up in some weird ways where it's like other people don't have those skills. I can't remember his name. Metropolitan sound guy. Chris. He's still there, right?
He's still there.
Chris Thompson. He's been there forever.
Yeah, decades.
I was one of the only ones that he used to trust, like to like leave. Sure. Okay, Esteban knows how to set up a microphone and a mixer and wrap cables. Yeah. He would let me in one time. I got to tell that story. Is he left me in charge and there was like a video switcher, and these guys can chime in on that. And he's giving me the rigmarole. He's like, all right, you do this, and then there's a laptop and this shit. And I swear to God, I took notes and I did it exactly as he said. And then when the client was like, all right, let's switch it over to the next one, it didn't work.
Of course not.
And I was like fucking panicking. Luckily, I was like up in the bird's nest at the Metropolitan. And I'm like, give me like 2 minutes. I had to restart the laptop and then it worked exactly. You guys know about this trick?
No, it's just I was wondering how it wasn't working.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell.
As soon as you said reset the computer, I'm like, oh, the computer was the problem. Okay.
Computer was the problem. So the client computer or whatever. So yeah, it was just like one of the most nerve-wracking things is like they're doing like this program and they're like, all right, here it comes. Oh. And I couldn't do it. And I was like, oh.
AV is my worst
Chris
nightmare.
Chris is going to kill me.
It's like truly my worst nightmare. Yes. Like I hate being in charge of AV. And I swear like every venue I do, I get less and less involved in it. Cause I'm just like, I don't like doing it. Like it's just not, the pressure is so high on it. Yeah. And if you don't know what you're doing, you guys, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, me and Patrick literally just talked about this like, 2-3 hours ago about a client that he has. It's just like it's like not as expensive as people think, but like it's necessary to have somebody who knows what they're doing run your tech. Yeah. You can get all the tech in the world, but if you don't know what you're doing,
you have to have someone who knows what they're doing to run it.
Nothing.
Yeah, we were at the Hollywood, which is one of the places that we run, and I don't know who I was meeting with, and they said something about like, I was telling them like we don't have built-in AV, we let people do their own thing, and they were like saying something about like when we like I was like we don't have a projector and they're like yet and I was like nope never. I don't want to do that. Nope. Like when I was at the U we had a ton of built-in stuff and it's like it's out of date so quickly and it's like and then you're running into issues probably which is like they needed to update their software or they needed to update their browser or something like that and like I was like I have had to change like an LCD bulb, you know, and it's like you have to like have a special pair of gloves and like
also like more often than not I'm pretty sure I've gone to like 100 rooms that have a built-in projector, built-in screen, and I'm sure we've used maybe 5 out of the 100 times. Like it just doesn't like they like position the projector this way or they position it that way.
It just limits how you can set up the room.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's a necessity and sometimes it's like it's a great value add for clients in certain venues. And like Machine Shop, I know that like we were really strategic when it was getting built out of like doing the minimum so that like nonprofits could come in and have a event without investing a ton of money into it necessarily. But keeping it open because also like you lose an opportunity to partner with different companies like AVAX or AV for You or whoever else it might be if you try to have all that in-house and it's like then if it goes wrong it's like all on your shoulders. You know 100%. Even the minimal stuff that is that Machine Shop, it's still terrifying.
We just did actually both of us worked on a large wedding with Gretchen Culver a few months ago and she asked me about mics and using multiple mics.
Remember us at the Machine Shop one day?
You were. And I said, honestly, Gretchen, based on who this client is and the quality that's expected, I would rather you bring in an AV company to control all of the mics and make sure that that sound is handled professionally rather than the potential for something to go wrong and I don't have the capability to fix it. So I think it's also about like knowing your strengths and just knowing when to bring in somebody else and being comfortable making that call ahead of time rather than day of, oh shit.
like trying to make it happen. It's like I'd rather be like punched with the truth than coddled with the lie. Like, tell me the truth right now, because I can handle no. Like, I can manage a no and I can work around it. But if you tell me yes and then you don't come through,
100%,
I will burn it down. Yeah.
We got to talk about the story about at Machine Shop when mic issues at one time. Do you remember? Did you ever resolve that?
We did, and I don't know if you want me to admit what we
overlooked. Yeah, I want to hear about
on the mic,
because I was like doing what I know, troubleshooting a machine that I've never worked with before.
Yeah, and it was just like Countryman mics. It was just the battery packs, and what we both failed to see is that we did not have an antenna on the mic pack.
That'll do it.
Which was very humbling to find that out a few days later.
This is why you hire professionals.
Hey, even as a professional, this is me as a video guy. I have made that mistake once, but like it wasn't like the mistake was made before the show started of me like what's going on, what's like problem shooting, and then like the antenna.
But at least like the parts that are supposed to be there a little bit more than I would.
Yeah, I don't even know what this antenna means or what it does.
Like as soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, but I don't know if I would have noticed it.
What's that cable actually called? It's like a
coax cable.
What is it?
Is it coax?
What are you talking about specifically?
The antenna, how it plugs in, it kind of twists a little bit or whatever usually. So like coax cable or something.
Yeah.
It's got a couple prongs or whatever. Yeah, it plugs in. Yeah, when you don't have that, it doesn't really get. Remember, because we got a signal a couple times. We're like, it works.
Yes.
Probably just
no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
We're like, what the fuck? And I'm like checking everything on batteries, and we troubleshooted for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, I don't know.
And then we made the call.
I'm like, I gotta walk away from
this. What did you do then?
Did
you just switch to handheld?
We did, yeah, and it was, I think it was a wedding, because there was
a DJ or something there that
someone was
we
trying
could
to
use
sound
their
check,
mic.
and it was someone I very much didn't want to have to tell that we couldn't perform in the
it,
way that he wanted us to perform.
Minnesota Zoo. Was a Minnesota Zoo event. Maybe not.
Anyways, but ultimately, Esteban helped me also as
I didn't help you at all, actually.
Well, you helped me troubleshoot and search all options, and ultimately we could.
And also, like having someone else look at it and also not being able to figure it out is sometimes very gratifying because you're just like, well, it's not just me.
I was like, this is your shit. You should know how to do it. No, I'm just kidding.
It's your problem.
Yes.
Also, built-in AV is great for some reasons, but not all reasons.
When I was at the U, we had a ton of built-in stuff, and it was like my worst nightmare all the time. And we were still having to sub-rent stuff all the time. And I don't know if I've told this story in here. I don't know if I'm repeating myself, but who cares? But we had an event one time with President Kaler, who was like the president of the U at the time, and it was in the West Wing, and the sound kept cutting out, and I knew it was because the podium had like pulled away from the jack in the floor, and it's right next to the podium, and they were like, you have to fix it. And I was like, he's still talking, and they're like, you have to. So I had to literally get on my hands and knees in front of a room of like 300 people and fix this, and then like crouched over next to him on the podium. And then I got up and I went to the bar, and I was so embarrassed, and they were like, I don't want to make this worse for you, but do you want to know something? And I was like, what? And they're like, well, you were leaned over, we could all see down your shirt. And I was like,
unnecessary.
I was like, actually, didn't know that. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go jump off the terrace now. Thanks.
Did it fix it, though?
Yeah, it did fix it.
Okay. A little flash and a little fix.
Yeah, dinner and a show, baby.
Dinner and a show.
I will say, as a video tech, if something goes wrong, everybody knows because they can't see whatever is happening. And because of that, I don't need to crouch. I could just walk right up and fix the issue.
I probably should have had someone tell me that before that. That would have been good. But also it was on the floor. I didn't really have a choice. I had to crouch down. But
also, when you're at the beginning of your career, I think you have less confidence.
And
are far more apologetic of like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me minimize myself.
Yes, definitely ready to make myself very small. Yeah, very small.
Hands and knees.
And now I think you would just walk right up to him and be like, sir, please move to the side.
Excuse me, can you be quiet for a second? I'm gonna fix this. Just kidding, I wouldn't do that. I just be like, I hired someone to do this, so it's not my problem.
Also that's next level, right?
I mean, that's a testament to AV companies right there. That shit is good to have somebody on hand that knows what's up.
Yep, a little AVEX and IMAV,
and Sightline Productions.
Sightline Productions.
It's a new AVEX
brand.
That's
right.
All of the above. We've got
now
options.
They need to do a commercial with us. Let's be a sponsor.
Yeah, they should have. Yeah, Tim. I want to switch it up just a little bit and talk about Star Awards because it was fun.
It.
I got to be honest. When I heard the theme, I was like, this kind of, I fucking hated high school. And when it was scholarly themed, I was like, this sucks. I didn't really say that, but I was like I was just imagining how's it going to turn out. And it completely blew me away with what you guys did. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it's very worth mentioning that it was awesome. Anyone who wasn't there, you missed out. And you're probably not going to know what we're talking about, but it was super cool. Well, actually, we'll have a video coming out. We'll have a video eventually.
Yeah, maybe
you'll get to see
have a video.
some tidbits.
Yeah, and also you can go to the ILEA MSP Instagram and see some videos that have been there. It was fantastic. Like, I mean, every year you think like, how could they possibly top this? And then that one just blew every other one out of the water, and it was like. Everything about it was amazing. My favorite part was the U of M marching band.
Really?
Marching us in.
That's exactly where I was going with it, too. I really wanted to talk about the marching band and the statement piece that was. Yeah. It was, like, colossal. It was huge. It was, like, it blew everyone away. Mm-hmm. Like, just watching everyone. It was so fucking loud, and it was just, like, you know what I mean? There's so much energy built into that, especially when people were like in cocktail hour, and then all of a sudden the marching band comes down. We have video of this. I'm pretty sure Alex was like running backwards.
Oh my God!
Let me
tell you what happened.
Yeah,
not just me. So there was like I think like
all the photographers,
5, and then like you got social media people, and we're all just like we're on it, and like okay, let's do this, let's figure this out, and then it just started, and they were so fast.
Yeah, they move fast.
They were real fast, and I've been in a marching. I play trombone in a marching band, and I know like the speed in which we go, but they were like basically sprinting, and then like I'm like running backwards, making sure not to hit anybody, and the video content I got, there was a lot of sorries from everybody around us.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I know. It's like, no, don't worry about it. Let's just go. But it
like
was
a
really,
SEAL team,
really
go.
cool to see. It was so awesome.
I think we knew about it, obviously.
Yes.
And I'm already like feeling a little emotional about it because that was truly like standing there watch. Woo.
Whoa, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was so great.
You give her one black cherry White Claw.
No, don't help me like that. Wow.
The ice is melted.
Pulling me back.
Hey, I love that you can be emotional about it because it was so cool. Like
you can
it gives me goosebumps talking.
You can cuss and cry. I appreciate that. It was so strong and so moving at the time, right? And like we were like, yes, marching band, so cool, U of M, all of the above. But to see it actually happen.
It blew your socks off.
Yeah, no, the adrenaline was like really palpable.
It was physical. Yeah. And to see Ariel too, like come and clear the way and
booking his ass.
He's clearly
worked
parades
shout
before.
Out to Ariel. Oh my God.
So shout out to Ariel.
We gotta get
Shout
Ariel
out to
Ariel.
Ariel.
Ariel's got to come on sometime.
Yeah. That was the coolest part.
It was, and that's why I was like, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
It was so fun. It was so. Alex is like, get some shots of the fucking reaction. I don't think I gave him one shot of the reactions because I was so fucking blown away. I was trying to do some video with them, and I got like some aftermath, but that's about it because it was so fucking powerful. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. So it was so cool. So
well, and that like everything in Star Wars, like you don't know that you're getting something until like it's confirmed and then triple confirmed. And we have to give a huge shout out to Ann Wilczek, who was our entertainment chair. Ann works for UMF, University of Minnesota Foundation, and actually offices out of McNamara Alumni Center. And she was a key player in how everything together.
Anne is great. I gotta second that.
Best.
She's brought us on for a different thing after the fact. So yeah, she's been nothing but great and super supportive. And it's funny too, because you like when you're an outsider like me, I feel like a little bit, and coming into the McNamara. I used to work at the McNamara, but I never knew Anne or anybody like that. And it's just like you start to get to know people. And it's just so many fucking awesome people. Yeah. It's just like, goddamn, they're so cool and they're so supportive of like everybody.
Yeah. That's like the best thing about ILEA is like getting to meet people that you would never ever get to meet in your day-to-day shit, and then like being like, well, there's so many cool people that do cool shit here, and like
I'm gonna start crying now.
I got very emotional that day too. I was really, really caught off guard by the like jerseys. Oh my God. So they had a whole window, like wall section with all the past presidents' like jerseys. I was like not expecting it at all. And Gretchen had like asked me like, what size shirt or something? And I was like, what is this for? And she's like, never mind. I'm like, okay, great.
Fine, leave it to Gretchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when I watched it and saw it, it was so touching and such a like beautiful moment. And also like as someone who was not athletic in high school, shockingly, like I never had a jersey. Like it's the only jersey I think I have. I mean, I played like softball, but yeah, I stopped doing it when I was like a junior or something like that. So getting that, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna hang it up in my like closet. Yeah. Like it's going to be maybe framed at some point because I love it so much.
In your big ass closet.
Yeah, shut up. I gotta have some artwork in there. It's so big.
It's got a fucking whole room.
Exactly. I think part of that for me too was like seeing my name next to so many other greats.
Yeah.
Like that aspect of it too was like, holy shit. And not that I made it, but I can also do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've done it and I'm doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you did it and then some. Like it was, it's an amazing legacy to be part of. And I feel like you have been part of ILEA. Obviously, you've been part of it for a long time. So you knew kind of what you're stepping into. I kind of didn't really know 100%
I wouldn't
what
agree with that necessarily.
Oh, really?
I feel like
Star Wars is a beast.
if anyone's thinking of wanting to do this someday, they should just like hit pause right now and turn this podcast off. But that is the most amount of work I have ever done on a project. And also, I could not be more prouder and have never been more proud of something that I've been a part of.
Yeah.
You got to do it with your sibling.
Yeah. And the 20th
Huge.
like is really amazing. Yeah. I mean, I think I barely remember the night that when I was the director that night because it was like so intense and like, but it is one of the things I'm most proud of in my career. Like it was huge and getting to collaborate with like so many people. How many vendors did you guys have on this one?
Over 50, 55 plus.
Yep.
And how much money?
It was over $325,000 worth of a retail value.
Of in-kind sponsorship.
Of in-kind
sponsorship.
right.
People giving
Exactly.
of that.
No budget.
And I do think it actually probably was more than that when we think about some of the things leading up to it and the support that we got, the support afterwards, the fact that the community comes together and puts on an event for each other that is climbing towards $500,000.
It was over $500,000.
Your time's not included in that number.
Exactly.
Yeah, if
this
you
is
put
just
in
like
other people's,
services.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you
put
a full-time
in-
job for a good 6 to 8 months, like basically.
Yeah, I mean, look at my Verizon bill. Lauren and I spoke daily for hours and hours, and like that is nothing compared to what all of our chairs did, what the committee members did, what all of the volunteers did, the McNamara team, who was just outstanding. I mean, they said yes to everything that we asked of them. And as somebody who has venues, and Lauren can say the same, like it's really hard to say yes to every crazy kooky idea that a client may want to do in your space. But when we went to them and we're like, hey Hannah, hey Sari, can we float trash in your fountain?
In your fountain,
You don't let anybody touch.
And they're like, yeah, of course. What else? I'm like,
Yeah, of course.
That was an
What
awesome
porta
touch, by the
potties?
way.
Yeah, porta potties.
That
exactly.
was so perfect. I when I
Like
saw
red Solo cups
I think
and
I filmed
chip
Gretchen
bags,
just
yeah.
walking around with boots in the water
the lashes,
and doing that. I was just like, this is like the smartest move I've ever seen. Just to add that little nuance.
Yeah,
It's
and
always the
having,
small
like,
things that make
an actor
things
come out of
big.
the porta potty in the middle of it. Yeah.
shout out to Lauren's brother-in-law, who was that actor.
Also be a roommate right now. But yeah.
And I think that's the one thing, to your point earlier, Esteban, saying like, oh, that like this is a theme. I don't know. We got deep into the weeds of planning, and I looked at Lauren one day and I was like, I don't know. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're just like off base. Maybe this is too themey, because from a Star Wars standpoint, over 20 years, it has had a broad spectrum of really no theme and just being a beautiful gala to crazy themey, and then oftentimes a lot of spots or stops in between. And when I said that to her, she looked at me and was like, well, too fucking bad, because the train, the train has left the
Yeah,
station.
you
We're
kind
doing
of started halfway down.
and I think what I realized during the process, and certainly the next morning during cleanup afterwards, fueled off of vodka sodas lingering in my system and Chick-fil-A breakfast sandwich, which was the first time I ever ate one, and I morally feel bad about that, but it was delicious, I will say. What I realized was
Thanks,
we
Christina, for influencing that.
Christina, yeah. We built a world. Like as a team, as a chapter, as a community.
An experience.
That was a night that we didn't throw an event, we built a world. And every single touch that we've talked about up to this point and things that like details that will never make it onto this podcast, every little detail was there. And there was always something for somebody to look at or experience or touch or do or eat. And that I think is what makes me so proud of it, is that this was beyond just hosting an event that we all do every day, 24/7. We created this little ecosystem for each other that night. And I think that's really, really special.
I feel like the Star Wars has become like the DC universe or like the Marvel universe, where it's like the Star Wars universe is like really strong. It's very strong, and the fan base is very strong. And there's like funny carryovers from year to year. Like the llamas have been a theme a couple times. And I mean, I will say too, like the people that you get to work with during that experience that like you would never be that close with, or like even just like volunteers like the day of and stuff like that is so amazing. And you were the president, I believe, the year that I was the director.
Yep.
And I would not have made it through if not for you.
Yeah.
Truly, like I would not have. Like I thought I was being very smart, where I was like, I'm gonna have it at Machine Shop, so the only person that has to say yes to me is me. Yeah. Which is fine.
I feel that.
Yeah. Except then I was like, oh wait, I'm like working 2 full-time jobs and like, at this place nonstop. Shoot. And then it's like, oh wait, there's no one to say no. So we really are going to do all these things. And towards the end of it, I was like really struggling. And I say this all the time. I quote you all the time. I'm always like, Christie Altendorf said to me once, like, it'll be great and it'll be over, or it'll be over, but either way it'll be over. Yep. And I'm just like, I remind myself that all the time.
You said that to me during
one
Star
of my
Wars
life
week
mantras
this year.
I was like, either way, it'll be over.
Sounds great.
Yeah. And I was like, why does that make me feel better? I don't know. Like I don't know, something about it. And we hadn't like worked together very much before that, because I feel like you were at the History Center.
Yeah, with Bon Appetit at the History Center. I was very like secular and in the weeds at the museum. Right. And that was actually why I got involved with ILEA in the first place, because I really loved my job. But after maybe 3 years of being there, I was 25, I got bored. Yeah. And I was like, well, I guess I have 2 options. I can get a new job and grow there, or I can look for opportunities outside of my job that I really love, and I love the people, and I love what I'm doing, and I can outsource this basically. And so I showed up to my first ILEA program, and it was excruciating.
Where was it?
Golden Valley? No, not Golden Valley. Southview Country Club, I think. It was awful. I didn't know anybody. Yeah. I didn't have the balls to talk to anybody. Right. I was 25. I was standing at a cocktail table by myself, but I just kept showing up. And then the Star Wars committee was presented to me as an option. Amy Dalton was the director that year. It was the Bootleggers Ball at Nicollet Island Pavilion. And I got to know her through, I don't even know, I'm sure a History Center thing. And she's like, hey, there's room on the committee. You should come help. And I was like, yeah, okay. This I've been invited. People are asking me to engage, and this is why I'm doing this, to expand my horizons and to really get a broader base of knowledge. And so I showed up, and I remember the first meeting. So it was the first day I ever met Gretchen Culver, and she scared the living daylights out of me. She was so just confident and detail focused, and knew what she was doing. And I very much felt like I had no idea what I was doing.
What year was this, roughly?
2010, probably. Okay. 2011.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's been at it a while. Yeah.
She is a legend for sure, and has been. Yeah. I think since day one. But
is that why you chose her as the director, or not?
She was the
design
chair.
Yeah. She's done that quite a few years. She was the design and decor chair my year as well.
Well, the year that I'm referring to right now, she was the design and decor chair. So she's done it, I think, several times. She knows what she's doing.
And she was a director in 2015
at ARIA.
Yeah.
Storytellers Ball. Yeah. So she super knows the program, and I feel has such a great design eye, and really 100%. She knows what she's doing and then some. And so I brought her to Cafe L'Ercat when Lauren and I had agreed to this, and we were like, okay, let's assemble this dream team. And before I could really even get it out, she's like, yes, I'll do it. And I was like, great, because I haven't told you any other details about it. She had no idea what the theme was, the date, the location, any of
totally
it.
Whatever.
Totally into it, though.
Yeah.
All in.
For sure.
That's super good.
So we owe her and her committee, which was Lane Palm, Bree Burrich, and Brandy. Yeah, Brittany Morris.
And Brittany.
Yeah, Brandy with Hunt Right Design Co. Like they just really knocked it out of the park.
That's awesome.
I did design and decor 2 years, and I was very Gretchen felt present in it for me of being like, how do I live up to that? You know, I don't know that I did, but I did my best, and she's got an amazing eye for sure.
But that's Star Awards in general. I think you said earlier, like, how do we top last year?
Yeah.
And that to me is the beauty of the event. And when I'm telling people who have no idea what it is or think I'm talking about Star Wars,
I know. I never enunciated.
I
time.
told
Yeah.
someone, I'm like, I'm going to Star Awards later, and they're like, you're a nerd. And I'm like,
yeah, yes,
An event.
I thought I said Star
be
Wars.
the theme one year.
Yeah.
truly. That would make it easier. But when I tell people about it, I'm like, it's like this collaboration that's also insanely competitive, and it's really looked at it in a loving way of how do I top what these people did last year? This amazing group of directors, chairs, committee, volunteers, etc., vendors, all of it. Like, how do we outdo that? And it's like part terrifying, part amazing challenge, and part what I strongly feel keeps this industry top of market in the U.S. is because we all push each other in a way with this event that other cities don't necessarily have the privilege to do or the luxury of that camaraderie and community.
Yeah, I mean, because we have people coming in from all over the country to attend our awards thing.
Chicago, Dallas, Boston. I mean, we had...
Yeah, Gwen McNutt was
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yep.
And Barb Harris came in from Chicago the year
Yeah.
that it was at Machine Shop. And I mean, every year there's people from international, which is kind of wild. It's like, why would you want to
Dustin was
go
there the year
to
before.
an awards ceremony?
Coming to Minneapolis in March.
Right. Yeah. I won't go to Minneapolis in March.
There might be a snowstorm.
Right. But
Oh, that we did
There
get
has
that.
been.
Actually,
Yeah,
yeah, we
there
did
has
get that.
been,
What was that,
right.
like a day and a half before or something like that?
It was day of.
Day of.
The day of, yeah. It didn't really
The
hurt
day
it.
before and day of.
It didn't really hurt it.
We were all snowed in together. Lauren
Very-
slept on the floor of my hotel room
With
that
my
night.
coat. The hotel was out of sheets or blankets
Oh
my
because
God.
everybody
It
was
was
trapped from a
cold.
snowstorm. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
to sleep with my
Star
coat.
Awards 2018.
2018,
Yeah.
that was rough.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Mr.
I feel like I got to address, I don't really have to address it. We set off a smoke alarm at Star Awards this last year, and I just thought it was kind of funny.
We did? Oh,
The fire
It was
department
part of the
would
theme.
confirm.
It was thematic in the sense that somebody pulled the fire alarm.
yeah. Yep.
But I took ownership on that. I was like, I kind of don't mind that it happened, but I also like hate that it happened. Because we were talking and you're like, I want this band
Yeah.
and I need these fucking laser lights.
So excited.
And she was swearing
That was
at me
a-
about
that
it.
was
She's
a
like, I
DM.
fucking
Cussing
need
you
that.
out.
That was
She's
a
fucking
DM.
lasers.
Late
Yeah.
night
Get me those
DMs.
fucking
Fucking
lasers.
She's
lasers.
like, we need that.
Like this
And
party is not going to be a party if
So-
there aren't lasers. Yeah.
so shout out to
Lasers.
Interstellar Lighting for all the stuff
Did
they
an
did.
excellent job. Yes.
But while the ceremony program or whatever was going on, all of a sudden
Because you have to set off. Hey, is it?
they were
You
doing
have to have
testing and the
haze.
haze in the room
for
that
the
we were having
lasers
a
to
band.
show up,
I don't think
you
people
need haze.
know that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that is like a weird fact
Yeah.
about
Right? It
events.
would-
I
could-
did not
like-
know that until the fire alarm went off.
Yes.
Like, oh, we need haze in order to like see these lasers. You need haze to like hit them and for it to have something to cut, which makes complete sense.
And
if
in
you
my
think about
own
it.
defense, I did all the proper
You did
asking
research.
Yeah.
beforehand with the venue
McNamara
and
cleared
asking,
it.
and they said,
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me ask so and so. And then they went up the chain,
Hmm?
and then I got a yes.
Yeah.
That'll be fine. And he actually said, I don't remember his name, but he was like, that'll make it so much more fun. Or something
Not
something
wrong.
along the
Yeah.
lines. And I was
Not
like,
wrong.
hell yeah,
It should.
bro.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah.
I feel like foggers and hazers are such a fucking wild card. Like, I could do a dozen in a row with them and have no problems, and then have one that has it. Like, we did, and we need to come back to it, but we did like a kit reveal thing for Minnesota United at Machine Shop with AV for You, and there was so much fog in the room because they wanted to be like this super dramatic thing, and they did a kabuki drop with the drape, and it was like,
I like that.
it was so tense that when they dropped it down, everybody was like, woo, and they were like, woo, because you couldn't see the kids. Like they were so much, and it wasn't dissipating enough.
Yeah. Oh.
Like, so it was like this very like, and then after a while, like it fanned away and people were like, yeah, there they are. So, and we didn't set off the fire alarm that time. But then other times I have set it off. So
where was this at?
That was a machine shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a wild card.
It is a wild card.
Yeah.
So
at Aria we had to call the what is it? The security
fire
company.
alarm company.
Fire alarm and like put it on test mode.
Yep.
And then we could do whatever we wanted. We had countless. We Aria did a lot of shoots.
Yeah.
Like a lot of video shoots.
Yeah.
Very dark venue. You control the lighting. And we had actually the church, when they were starting to take over, they did a video shoot for like a musical thing that they were doing in the middle of the room, and they put so much smoke into the room, not telling us what they were going to do. And then all of a sudden, they didn't ask, they just did. And then all of a sudden the fire department's at Aria, like whatever. So, which happened at Star Wars. The fire department did show up. I had words with them. I'm like, can you put it in test mode? And they're like, no,
that's not safe.
But so, and I think a lot of
which is a fair response. Let's be.
I think a lot of it had to do with it's a school.
Yeah.
It's
any fire department is going to tell you can't do that. You have to talk to the alarm company. They will say like, you can have
for sure.
Fire department's like, no, that's a safety thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So it was all gravy, but I thought it was funny, but not. Because we were all like walking outside. Remember, it smelled outside like something was burning.
It did. It absolutely did.
So we were like, something else is on fire. It's not the smoke.
It's not us.
But it was the smoke. It was definitely the smoke in the end of it. But
I will say I was walking back there because I was just like, I know what it was too. I was just like, oh, there's the haze again, because we went through the same situation last year. But it was like, there was a girl who was freaking out. She's like, why is nobody leaving? Let's go. There's a fire. There's a fire. I'm like, there's no fire. It's just haze.
That was really kind of incredible. Nobody got up from the audience because we all knew what it was. We were all just like,
she had no idea. And she was like, what is, like, she felt like she was crazy. I'm like,
wait, you're talking about at this event or a different event? Someone did. So I heard the alarm go off. I ran in the back hall where like staging is for D'Amico at the Mac. And some girl pushes the door open, and I was like, is this real? And she's like, yeah. And she's all freaking out about that the alarms are going off.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I went right to the AV guys, and I was like, you guys fucked up. Like I knew right away, kind of. But then when we started looking at other factors and stuff, I was like, oh, maybe it is outside, because like something.
It did smell.
Something
like
was burning outside that stunk, and we were like almost convinced that it was something else, but it was fucking.
Well, like in the moment, Lauren and I looked at each other and we're like, "Did you know about this? No, did you know about this?
The
like,
haze?
Is this supposed to happen?
The haze?
Yeah. Well,
the fire alarm.
Like,
because it did fit kind of the theme
for sure. Yeah.
And also, it's become now apparently part of the Star Awards universe, which is because we set it off last year.
Yeah.
And
2 for 2.
Yeah.
I was part of that too. Fuck, sorry.
That's all right.
That was my bad.
Okay, now we've isolated the problem.
I can't take credit for that because I gave Amy Knight from the Urban Daisy venue all of the intel of this could happen and this probably will happen unless you talk to your security company or whatever, or the building, etc., figure it out. And she was just like, I'm not gonna do that, kind of like, or I don't know how to do that.
No, it was, they have a contentious building manager there.
They do. So I do recall that.
My favorite. I was like ready to come to blows with it. We had a prior relationship. It was not based on Star Awards, not like an actual relationship, but working relationship.
Not a romantic
relationship.
No, that was funny.
You know, it happens. And so many people afterwards were like, did you mean for that to happen? And we were like,
for all 15 minutes?
Definitely not.
Maybe it would have been funny for 3, not for 15. Yeah. It was
15 seconds, yes. 15 minutes. No. Whoops.
But it was kind of amazing that like nobody flinched. Like we were all just like, oh, we know what that is. Yeah. And there was somebody sitting by me that I think was like a guest of someone, and they were like, what should we do? Should we get up? And I was like, no, it's not real. I was like, it's just the haze. If it was real, somebody would come let us know. Like,
I love it. And that's the beauty of like an industry event. Like we all knew.
There's a lot of grace for just like, we knew what the fuck was going on. And then everybody that got up on stage during that time like made a joke about it. And
I loved it. Ariel came up to me too. He's like, yeah, we're just, we're not going to do the haze anymore. And I'm like, that's cool. I totally get that. And I think you're right on that. But the laser shit was still cool.
So good.
It was still really cool. The dance shit was awesome. Alex, we have so many photos and video of a lot of the event. We'll have to like put in while we were talking about some of this stuff.
Yeah,
some of that stuff. We're gonna have to
as
do
soon as
that.
you kept on bringing up specific things, I was like, I've seen that shot.
Yeah,
I have that
like
shot.
the jerseys on the wall. Yeah, all that stuff. We got to bring that
Since
stuff up.
Event Life TV was the sponsor.
We sponsored that.
for
Yep.
sure.
It was fun.
Yeah, the dance space was great. One of my favorite things, like being a co-director, but also from the D'Amico side of things, we handled bar service, and we came up with this concept of having a punch station in the dance,
That was
where
super
we had a
fun.
bartender staffing it who was not dressed in normal like
was like a
bartender
leather
gear.
jacket
He
or
was wearing a
something.
leather jacket with a white tee underneath. And he did not have a bar set up by these 3 custom carved ice punch bowls that Minnesota Ice did. He just had flasks in his pockets. And the whole station was like set in this way where people would come up and they would fill their little cup with punch, and then he'd be
Red Solo
like,
cup.
hey, and then offer to dump a little bit of liquor in from the flask in his pocket. And at one point, one of my coworkers, Jacob, came up to me. He's a salesperson on the D'Amico team, and he goes, Christy, I'm worried someone's over there trying to spike the punch. And I was like, somebody on
Even
my
someone
team?
who's like in it, yeah.
Like somebody who's in this industry, like specifically in this company running bar service, does not see that this is a full character moment. Like that to me was a huge win.
Have,
that
completely
even the
suspended reality.
insiders didn't know, and that was such a cool experience
That
to
dude's
see
like
all of that.
stapled in my mind.
Yeah.
Like it was perfect.
It was.
It
And
was
he
great.
nailed the character of it
Oh,
too.
so good.
coy.
He totally looked
yeah.
For sure.
He had that greaser vibe.
Yeah.
Just straight up like perfect.
There was a lot of people who really went in on the costumes this year, and I thought that was like
Yeah.
who was
Oh.
it that dressed up like a lunch lady? It was so
Tammy.
Oh my
From
god!
Host
Host
to
to Toast.
And
Oh
it was
my
incredible.
God.
MVP of the
Incredible.
event.
Yeah. And she was just a volunteer. She was just
I know.
there.
I literally thought she was like a paid actor.
No.
And then I was like,
I
no,
came out
know
of
her.
I was like changing into my jacket or whatever, my
Leather
Letterman
jacket,
jacket, and I came out of like the restroom in the hallway, kind of in the middle where we were working out of, and I saw her and I was like, oh my
It was incredible.
God. And I was just like, fuck, what I was singing Lunch Lady Land or whatever, right,
Yeah.
right to her.
Yeah. Sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe.
Hoagies and grinders or whatever.
Yeah.
Meatloaf sandwich.
No, like we
Yeah.
had no idea that Tammy would show up like that. She just did it.
She is awesome.
She made her own name tag. Like she took the Starry the Dragon logo, which was an emblem of the event. Like she ripped that off of the internet and created her own name tag that said Lunch Lady Tammy on it.
Amazing.
And the best part now is like we partner with Host to Toast a lot at D'Amico, and so every Friday she stops by to do some paperwork stuff with Mary Jo, our amazing like front desk gal. And I just get to walk by her and be like, hey Tammy, how are you? And I had no idea who she was before this.
Right.
Like knew of her but had never met her before. And now every Friday I get to see her in our office and just really know what an amazing human she is.
Right.
Like,
and see her
how
like in the wild
dedicated.
a little bit. And,
Exactly. Yes.
And
yeah, she does not wear an apron with
and a
Or
hairnet.
compression socks.
no
One up,
compression
one
socks,
down.
or yellow plastic gloves in
Yeah.
real life, I will say.
And that's the beauty of the Star Awards too. I think you get to know so many different people that you otherwise would never know, even just from
100%.
volunteering. And also, I mean, I can speak to it too. That's what landed me a job with Girl Friday back in the day too, is just making that connection and showing up and demonstrating a little bit of interest and work ethic. And there you go.
They love you for it too, because you contributed to such a amazing.
Yeah. That's where I met Sarah Johnson for the first time. At Star Awards.
Wow.
So yeah, I think a lot of people have like made connections through that and like made long lasting ones. I also got a long lasting permanent reminder of Star Awards.
Yeah. Principal's office.
Talk about that. Talk
Yes.
about some of the features. Well, also talk about working together as sisters, what that was like, but also like the tattoos, all the choices that you guys made.
I think working together as sisters, we only got in one fight.
That's amazing.
And it wasn't even really a fight. I just was stepping on
Lauren's like,
Yeah, she's like, I'm still pissed.
She was doing too much.
I was stepping on Lauren's toes, and she drew some healthy boundaries. And
The script was Christie's.
Explain.
The program
The
slide
deck,
deck was mine. And Christy, one Saturday, decided that she was going to start working on the slide deck. So,
and you had already started it.
well,
No,
I hadn't started
she
it,
hadn't
and that was
started it.
probably why Christy did start it. But some of us night owls who need to work on our own time or work very well under stress or a tighter deadline, I had not gotten there yet, and so I gently asked that she stay in her script lane.
Get the fuck off.
Stay in your lane, bitch.
Did you say that you had ADHD as well?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't. We might both be undiagnosed.
Do you have ADHD?
I mean, no one's.
Listen,
I feel like
a lot of
90% of
us
our
push it
industry
to the
does.
end, but we're gonna do it, and we don't like getting
Jesus,
pressured to
bro.
do it. But like, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Like,
It'll get done.
It will get done
We're
by
gonna
the
get there.
deadline, but probably
Right.
like with 3 minutes to spare.
But it'll be great.
It'll be
There
great.
were some changes.
One
there,
of my
yeah.
favorite things of the slide was how the S of Star Wars was that, like, what is that called? That
Graffiti?
S?
What's
The
funny?
Superman
The
S?
S.
Yeah,
The
that's
S.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Anybody
three-
who grew up in the 90s
Yeah.
or like aughts knows this S that we're
I
talking
like how
about.
you can do that so quick. You're
Sick.
like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there it
know.
is.
yeah,
There it
yeah.
is.
the diagonal.
Yeah.
There it is. I don't know if
Yep.
you can see it. Let me try to show the camera.
Right there. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll
That's
walk
it.
around.
I
like
did
I
the
got
loops
it.
on the
was
top.
the
You didn't do the
loop?
loops. That was some
I've never
gangster shit
seen-
that I did growing up.
I don't know the
We
loops.
No.
we
Tearaway
gangstered that
pants
shit
and,
up.
like,
Oh, it looks so
middle
much
of
better
nowhere.
with the loops. That's a whole nother level.
Next
You
time.
guys,
Okay.
this is super.
I made it
Got
3D.
it. That feels like the next podcast for you guys.
Yeah.
I did the 3D look where like you made it look like it's coming out.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Bullshit, dude. It's bullshit. No, just kidding.
Just went up
With
here.
that ADHD? No, I don't think so. No, just kidding.
But I did really love that. That was like such a just
Thank
like
you. My
great
graffiti
touch.
wall
Yes.
on the notebook paper.
Great.
It was
Yeah.
great. It was great. It was very scholarly.
So I guess to answer your question, from my perspective, I won't speak for you, but it was like I wouldn't have done it with anybody else for any other reason.
how did it become both of you?
So I was originally asked by Rachel Gertzema.
Gertzema.
It was
President.
the week of
Yeah.
president of ILEA, MSP, and she actually asked me the week of the Star Awards when it was at Urban Daisy with Ashley.
Yep.
And I was very hands on deck. I think I did comms that year, and
And the clouds and all the
and
stuff.
the clouds and a few other things.
Lighting
but
tape and
I
stuff.
remember watching Ashley operate that week at Urban Daisy, and I had been asked and hadn't given her a decision yet, and was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that
And they should definitely wait till the endorphins set in afterwards to ask people.
100%.
They sure should.
Yeah,
They sure should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gretchen got me to do it because she asked me during the Star Awards when I was drunk, and then the next day was like,
It's a great
You said
strategy.
yes.
she was like, "That's legally binding," and I was like, I don't know about that.
Was it? But yeah, so I was asked the week of Star Awards, was feeling very intimidated by it, and was very honored. It is truly the biggest compliment, I think, of maybe all of our careers to be asked to do it, especially in this industry here with how strong and wonderful MSP is. But I was very intimidated by it, and I turned to Christy and was like, hey, would you ever consider doing this? And she was like, I would never do it by myself, but I would do it with you. And so,
You've never been the director before.
No.
Just this time. Okay.
yeah.
No, most positions on the board, many positions on the board, I have touched.
positions on the board?
Not all positions.
Okay.
No. Shout out to anyone who's in membership because that's a really tough job.
Yeah,
No, but I've done a lot on the board and a lot of things, but never Star Awards. And that was always something where I'm like, maybe someday I'll be ready for that, but I don't. Like imposter syndrome a little bit, right? Like,
and it's huge. It's a big undertaking, and it's a lot of pressure, and it's
And I think the biggest thing for me is not the amount of work that goes into it and not the like how public it is, but knowing that the asks that you are making of people for their time, for their money, for their livelihoods, like it's a huge sacrifice for a lot of people in so many different ways. And to be the person saying, hey, like, I know, like, I don't know if business is down or how you guys are doing, but we would so appreciate it if you would donate blank. Or like, will you take time away from your family to spend hours and hours and hours on this committee? Like, that's the biggest piece, I think, for me, that was the most intimidating, of just knowing what a huge lift this is for the community and making that ask of people, to donate whatever it is they may be able to give to make it the night that it is. So that always, I think, was a little bit of a barrier for me, but to have the opportunity to do it with Lauren, like when she asked, I was like, yes, I wouldn't do it with anyone else, but I will do it with you. And I'm so glad we did.
It was awesome. It really was. It was, well, I've only had a couple of experiences with it, but it was
every year is better than the last one. Every year is better than the last, right?
And like I wish that for next year.
Yeah.
And Ariel, who it's been announced that Ariel will be our director next year, and Lauren and I will help as advisors and guides for him on this journey. And I have no doubt in my mind that next year is going to blow this last year out of the water.
I feel like one of the things that keeps it fresh and keeps it like interesting and different every year is that it's literally different people every year too. Like the framework is there. Some of the people are repeats, some people cross over, some people do it many years in a row, but often there are lots of different committee members, and like it's always in a different venue, and like there's always a fresh perspective on things, and like it keeps it like if you were having to top yourself every year, that'd be so hard.
Yeah,
I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
But if you're just like bringing in new people and like trying to create the coolest thing that you can do with this group of people, then like it takes away, it adds pressure, but it also takes away some pressure, I think, in some ways. Because it can be super intimidating, but at the end of the day, like you get so much support and so much like enthusiasm and so many incredible people behind it that it's like it's just so much fun. It's the best.
Yeah. Couldn't say it better.
All right, before we move on, I got called out earlier, and I just want to point this out. Like, look.
Oh.
Let's see it.
It's in 3D right there.
Yeah. 3DS.
It's about average.
Ooh.
That's 3D, baby.
See, if you put that little loop on the top,
no
it
loop,
really
but-
makes it lame.
makes it good.
Lame. Yeah,
You don't know how to do a 3D loop.
Just
that's
for
the problem.
anybody who doesn't know about ADHD, we do crazy shit when we're supposed to be
They
paying
can make
attention to
an
class.
S.
Yeah, when you're supposed to be doing something else, it's
6
really easy to do.
lines.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's not like we sit here and just like zone out and just sit there. We actually do stuff.
Wheels
We're just
are
not
turning.
Just not the things we're supposed to be doing.
what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still taking in all
Like
the
a
Dude, are you
information.
recording
A little bit
even
of
right now?
both.
No, just kidding. Did you hit record?
Is the switcher working?
Yeah, it is. Don't
Good.
jinx it. Let's move on.
Antennas are connected.
I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, but like, what was your favorite experience about either working together, but otherwise just like the Star Wars experience, co-directing?
Oh yeah, we totally just like commandeered your question and did not talk about our favorite actual element from the event. I do think for me the marching band was a huge piece. I know I've already touched on it. What I didn't insert a couple moments ago was that I am a band nerd and did all the things in marching band.
Hold on, tell me more.
Okay, well, if you had to guess, what instrument would you think that I played?
French horn.
Fuck you. No.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes, French horn.
Yes,
French horn.
I
French
didn't know that.
horn. Thank you.
Okay.
Played the French horn.
French horn's a hard instrument to
Thank
play.
you. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Takes
But it's like
skill.
classy, so you know.
It is
Yeah.
classy.
Yeah. Complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit
Nuanced,
spicy
just
at
like
times.
you. Yeah,
Yes,
no, just
yes,
kidding.
yes.
Yes.
So I played French horn and marching band for 3 seasons, and then also did winter drumline. I did color guard. I was just like really in it.
You did drumming?
Yeah. Well, I played the cymbals. I can give you a little show later.
Like,
It looks like there's some cymbals over here.
Yeah. Okay.
Could I guess the amount of French horns that were in your band?
Yeah.
3.
She went to
7.
this huge school.
Yeah,
She did go to
Yeah, I've been to
Yeah.
huge
I was
schools
gonna say
too.
you
Doesn't
probably
mean
had
that
like
there's more
15
than
of
3.
them. We probably had 15 people in our whole band.
But that was like so
what a weird
important.
thing to guess. Hey, guess how many French
I'm a
horns
band
you
nerd
got?
too. And
Okay, I
I've
know.
been to
Same
big,
here, same here.
small,
Yeah,
just-
We
both,
all are.
We're both brass
Except-
players.
You were too.
Yeah.
I was not a band person. No.
Okay, but you're
I was
in the
choir.
voice
Choir.
and shit. That's
Oh, she was a hater, is what she was.
No, I'm just like I literally can't read music. I cannot. Even though I was like very involved in choir and stuff. I went to school on a music scholarship, but I can't read music, and I didn't know it till I got to college. And then I was like in theory, and I was like, wait,
Oh, you were
what
in
is
music
this?
theory?
yeah,
Yeah, you can't fake that.
No.
That's
No.
That
right.
is true. That
No,
is true.
that's
That
what
I
is-
think-
changed my
can't.
major really fast. I was like, oh, just kidding. I'm not gonna do music. Yeah, I'm in grade
suffered
of year
through
theory,
it.
but
I suffered through music theory and love it now. I'm a geek. I love talking music theory.
I was great at ear training, but terrible at theory. And so, yeah. And I always got in trouble because I wouldn't practice enough before we had to do presentations. And then they'd be like, if you had come more prepared, I'd be like, but was it good enough?
Still did it.
That's me and my private
But did I
lessons.
pass? That is my phrase with my therapist is C's get degrees.
Oh, it
That's what
applies to
Allison
life.
and I say it together all the time. Yes.
Progress,
Yeah.
not
That is
perfection.
true. God,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes,
C's get
Yeah.
degrees.
Get degrees. I definitely, my GPA when I left school was 2.93, but in my majors, it was 4.0. Yeah, it's just because I don't like doing other things that I'm not interested in.
Exactly.
So,
Waste of time.
yeah,
Yeah.
why bother?
No, I mean, that's all we are, right? In hospitality is a bunch of like music kids,
Bunch of
theater kids,
nerds.
just
Yeah.
coming
Heck
together and
yeah.
doing cool stuff. So, but I do think because of my formative years being so defined by marching band, like I loved every minute of band. My best friends were in band. I loved performing. I loved symphonic band and concert band and
Band camp.
winter color guard. I had went to band camp many years.
Like this one time, band camp.
Yeah. Still have
Thank you.
flags at my house that, much to my husband's chagrin, are sitting in the garage that once in a while will break out and just throw a couple tosses in the
still
air.
rip
4th
it?
of July, just do your own little parade down the street at your house.
She did.
You
they
know,
come out?
for the Star Awards committee celebration at my home in May, there may have been a small performance.
Oh my God.
She
I'm
was
so
That
not the
video
only one.
sadly will not be shown on this podcast.
I would
but
like to see it
I'll send
afterwards.
You
So,
have it?
yes,
It did
please.
Shoot me
happen.
that.
Anne
did
was
happen.
also involved, as well as Jasmine.
Yeah, exactly.
How many instruments did you have going? What?
Just the
They
flags.
were just twirling
Oh,
flags
okay.
in my
Flag.
backyard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never played an instrument, but I was like when I was like younger, I did
Recorder.
color guard.
Wait, what was that?
Kazoo.
What was that?
baton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I was like, oh yeah.
So that is like one thing I can do is baton.
Ooh.
But so I feel like flags is just like an extension of that a little bit.
You guys, we've got a full band sitting here right now.
Oh, we do.
We've got to
can
do
start
something with
our
this.
own band.
Yes.
Don't give me the
Yeah,
shit.
Patrick
Yeah.
plays
Yeah.
guitar. I play guitar, bass, or drums. And Alex plays trombone. She's trombone Tolly over there because he's tall as fuck.
Trombone
That was
Tolly.
great
Ooh.
because of
Come
Trombone
on.
Shorty.
I
That
saw
was great.
Trombone Shorty was at Yacht
gonna
Club
put-
thing or whatever.
I've
last
seen him
week, so
live. He's
fresh in my mind.
so
Okay.
awesome.
He's good.
so
I've seen him
good.
live a couple
so
times.
good. Shout out to Trombone Shorty.
Little does he know.
But wait. So speaking of marching band,
Yeah.
So I use marching techniques when I'm trying to record with the gimbal because in marching band, for those who don't know, you're supposed to roll your feet because
Roll
when
your
you
feet.
do that, because
you
if
do
you
this on
don't,
camera.
you're like bouncing, and when you're trying to play, it's like messing up
Right.
your mouthpiece.
Got to keep
And-
it steady.
Embouchure.
French horn is cool.
Yeah.
Jinx.
But I try and do that, and I tried to do that with a marching band.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. They were way too.
They were
They were
they
very-
were
backwards
speedy.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Bro, your video is shaky as fuck. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, and we had great feedback from the band too a week or so after Star Awards that was the last performance that many of those kids or young adults
They thought they were done
had
for
the
the
chance
season.
to perform.
on
They
the
thought they were
uniform.
done for the season, and then Star Awards came up, and they all agreed to do it. They got to wear their uniform one last time.
That's so.
It was
freaking
really
cool. Give me the
special to
goosebumps.
hear
That can
people be
explain
so
why they went
grateful.
full out
for that.
They
with
went
that.
so hard.
Oh, and their drum
Hard.
major.
Oh,
Like,
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything about it was real good. That
Your
was
smile was amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I was just the smile was so infectious.
Yeah.
I was
Jessica?
like,
Yeah.
wow.
Who?
The drum major.
The drum
drum
major.
major.
Like,
Drum major.
yeah.
Yeah. It was cool to see.
I thought he was talking about you.
I know.
It's amazing.
Also that. Yeah.
It was cool to see a comment pop up on one of our video reels from the Star Awards and realize that that's who it was. It was the drum major. Yeah, who had seen it and was so excited to share with us how excited they were to be able to perform for us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, super cool.
I love that.
It was such an amazing time.
Yeah.
So I do think, I think the band for sure. I think the punch, like as somebody who works in food and is just like obsessed with food and bar and cuisine and all of that, that punch station couldn't have been better. We had a signature cocktail during the activities fair part of cocktail hour called
science
the
experience?
Jocktail.
The
Oh,
jocktail.
okay.
The Jocktail, and one of our bartenders, Dane.
Oh yeah, Dane.
I gave him a couple photos of like, here's kind of what I'm thinking. You're going to
Water
be
boy.
the water boy. And he just like, he nailed it. And to see one of our bartenders who works very like high end events and normally is so professional and so thoughtful in how he approaches
Yep.
bartending, to really just run with this and to show up in, much like Tammy with Hosted Toast, in this perfect outfit and just lean against this Gatorade container to pour the drink. It's just so special to see
Before it
all
got
those
busy,
people.
I talked to him for like 15, 20 minutes, just catching up.
Good.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen him in a while, and it's so funny that you're here doing the water boy thing, and he was so into it. It was awesome. It was great. Yeah. How did you come up with all the ideas? Like, what was the ideation process like?
I think Lauren and I can claim responsibility for the initial concept and probably nothing else.
So like,
committee
elaborate.
members.
Yeah, committee members, just random ideas.
Yeah.
Gretchen Culver.
Yep. So we were asked to be the directors, and then under the directors, we get to put together a team of chairs. So you have your design chair, your AV chair, your food and beverage chair, your entertainment chair, communication chair,
Yeah.
and
Lots of leaders.
Probably somebody else I'm missing, which we appreciate all of your work anyways. And so under that, those chairs get to create their committees. And so while we get to put the chairs in place and got to go through and ask wonderful professionals in our circles to step up and do that, similar to what Christy was saying about Gretchen earlier, they get to select their committee underneath. Or as Christy also said earlier, ILEA helps open the opportunity to other ILEA members to become part of the committees. So really you create this whole umbrella of professionals who get to put it all together. Yeah. So while we were responsible for the overall theme, we really have to give props and license to all of the chairs and the committee members who served on the board this
driving
year.
lots of details.
Taking it and running it with it.
Yeah.
And like, and just being able to come at a project with like almost unlimited everything. Like, you know, like there's not a client who's like
beauty of
standing
it.
over you
Yeah.
being
Right.
like, well, that's too
Yeah.
weird or that's too whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Sky's the limit.
For sure.
Permanent ink is the limit. I will say
Exactly.
when the design committee brought real tattoos to us, Christina and I were like, I don't know about that.
McNamara's never going to allow
Yeah,
that.
I don't know we can get away with
Yeah.
that. But shout out to Mac.
Yeah.
They did. After lots of licensure
Yes.
with the state.
Health department.
They had
Health
to come inspect it. We had
department.
that same
Yeah.
person
Yes.
at a fair at the Hollywood, and I was amazed by how much easier it was than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
So, and they were like, she did only like flash tattoos, so
Yeah.
they're tiny, but it was really fun.
Well, and also the Scout tattoos, like they had their shit together. Like she knew exactly
That's
what
who
she was
did it
doing.
at the Hollywood
and-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like super organized.
Yeah.
So
Even day before we were Julia, our sponsorship chair, was verifying all of the COIs from all of our vendors that McNamara needed. And there was some questions about, because there was 2 tattoo artists, and so trying to navigate if they both had insurance and what that looked like. And everybody was so helpful and so responsive throughout that. And ultimately, it ended up happening, and there was actually a little drama with the tattoo station. So many people
a hot commodity.
had heard about it beforehand and signed up for spots before we could even publish it. And so there had to be some hard conversations had the day before.
Like you
some
can't have
kindly
one- yeah.
and strongly worded
Yes.
emails of like you shouldn't have scanned that QR code the first day of setup and put yourself on
the list.
I
But
remember you guys were like, Esteban, you're going to be first. And I was like, no, give it to somebody else.
I was.
I was totally like,
we also needed to put
Yeah.
people in place during the program too.
Right.
So it was that hard line of like, how do you fill out your time and make it more efficient, but also keep spots open to attendees so everybody has a chance to get a spot for a free tattoo. But it ended up working out really well. And we actually, I think more people ended up getting tattoos than we had spots for because Scout and the other tattoo artists were moving so fast.
Yeah.
that's
powering
awesome.
through it.
Yeah.
You got some stars from Star
I
Wars?
did. That was like why I picked it, because I was like, you know what, I want to like, and Star Wars has been a huge part of my career too.
Yeah.
Like it has been like a real defining thing over the years, and so I was like, because I have a lot of tattoos. This is the first one that's actually like visible if I'm wearing like sleeves and stuff. So it is a little weird to have one where it's like I can't really hide it as well. That was my dad always told me I could have as many tattoos as I wanted as long as I could cover them up in front of a judge. So
There's always makeup for that.
I know this one. I was like,
Star
I'll wear
Wars.
gloves.
City Council for the new gig is going to judge you.
The city council.
I like what you said though. I do think we all kind of grow up with the Star Awards too, right? My first Star Awards was actually Christy asked me to volunteer to do social media, which back in the day that meant putting Instagram filters of circles or that little dark like vignette line around the
when
edge.
you could do like a custom frame on Instagram
Yes.
or Snapchat or whatever.
Yeah, and that was my first Star Awards. It would have been 2013. I think
Okay.
it was the
Wow, that was
10th
back
or
there.
2014.
She's aging herself.
But truly, we grow up with the Star Awards, right?
Yeah.
And it is a marker of your career in every different aspect that you're involved with it.
Yeah.
I feel like she won't care if I tell this story, but have you heard the story of Sheridan? The first year that she went was at Machine Shop.
Yeah.
She was like
Freshly
a
employed
young,
by you.
yeah, she was
Yeah.
a new employee. She was just like a young little baby, and she did social media, and she was doing like Snapchat. I think that was back when I had a Snapchat, and it was like really, really good. And then it kind of like started to get a little off the rails, and then like you could tell she was getting drunk as it went on.
Progressively, yeah.
And the very last one, and I think she meant to put it on her personal one, was like a face shot of her eating cotton candy, just like.
Cute.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Way to represent the
But
brand.
she sent it to everybody?
Yeah.
It was on the Ilea
The
story.
story.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It was on the Ilea story. And I was like, oh, we might want to delete that one. I think we can tell that that maybe wasn't intended for this audience. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But it did fit the theme that year of like
Yeah.
the bad luck or,
Right.
you know,
Unluckiest bash.
the unluckiest bash, right? Yeah.
Both of you are awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure we could talk another couple hours.
I feel like I have like
Could be here all
2 more
night.
hours of content
Yeah.
that I want to talk
Yeah.
about, but we'll just have to do it another time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one. But yeah, thank you so much. And I loved just chatting. And there's so much more to talk about eventually, but eventually we'll get there.
Maybe you guys have to come back on with Ariel because I feel like he might be scared to do a whole
Yeah.
one
That
by
would be
himself.
cool. Yeah.
We would love
Yeah.
to.
Or we should do when we
The
do one of our
passing the torch.
Yeah, we do a
Yeah.
big table talk sometime with like a bunch of directors and
Yeah.
stuff. That'd be super fun.
Yeah.
Oh, the things that will come up.
Oh my god, the horror stories.
The horror. The horror. Yeah.
There's a guy, Andrew Nygaard, at Machine Shop who like had a little song that used to sing about it, the motherfucking Star Award.
I know. I told you I'm gonna write that song.
Yeah,
I need
the
the
jingle.
melody. I gotta get
Yeah.
that melody, and then I'll write you a song.
I think I called Lauren no less than 3 times in the 2 weeks leading up, singing that little song, just as a reminder that it's here again, and we are so blessed to be a part of it. And to your point earlier, Jess, like it's going to be great, and then it's going to be over.
Yep.
And that's going
Either
to be
way,
great too.
It'll be
Yeah.
over. Yeah.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you
And
guys.
this will be over too.
Yeah, we'll end it there. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the podcast. Hit the like and follow button to stay updated on our latest episode. If you have ideas of topics or guests you'd like us to interview, drop us a comment, and we'll see you next time.